The rain hit the windshield like bullets. I couldn't breathe. Eric's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. We'd been driving for 20 minutes, no destination, just rage on wheels. "You're paranoid," he spat, eyes fixed on the road. "You always do this." My hands shook in my lap. "I found the hotel keycard, Eric. In your desk." He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound made my stomach turn. "Business trip. I already told you. You said you stayed at the Hampton Inn. That card was from the Marriott downtown." His foot slammed the accelerator. The engine roared. "Stop checking up on me like I'm some criminal," he said, his voice dropping to something cold. Something I didn't recognize. "You want to know why I need space? This. Right here. Your constant nagging." Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not anymore. I'm not nagging. I'm asking my husband why he's lying to me. The car swerved. My seatbelt locked against my chest. "You think you're so smart," Eric hissed. "Walking around like you're better than me because your family's a mess and you survived it. Newsflash, Jessica, you're still broke without me. Still nothing." Each word landed like a slap. The rain got heavier. Streetlights blurred past. I pressed myself against the door, wishing I could disappear. "Where are we going?" My voice came out small. He didn't answer. Minutes stretched. The silence was worse than the yelling. I watched his profile, the man I married, the man who once bought me coffee during Mom's rehab visits. That version felt like a ghost now. Finally, Eric pulled onto a side road. Empty. Dark. Just trees and cracked pavement. A bus stop appeared ahead, lonely under a weak overhead light. He stopped the car. My heart hammered. "Eric, what are you?" "Get out." The words hung in the air like smoke. "What?" He turned to face me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Contempt. Pure, unfiltered contempt. "You think you can do better?" His voice was ice. "Fine. Do whatever you want." He reached across me, shoved my door open. Rain poured in, soaking my jeans immediately. "Eric, please." He grabbed my purse from the floor, threw it onto the wet ground outside. Lipstick and loose change scattered across the pavement. I said, "Get out." My body moved before my brain caught up. I stumbled out into the downpour, shoes splashing in a puddle. The cold hit me like a wall. I turned back. "You can't just." The door slammed. Tires screeched. And he was gone. I stood there, water streaming down my face. Couldn't tell rain from tears. The tail lights disappeared around the bend, taking everything I thought I knew with them. The bus stop's light hummed above me, casting weird shadows on the cracked concrete. No bench. No shelter. Just me and the storm. My purse lay in a puddle. I bent down, hands trembling, trying to gather my scattered life. Lipstick. Keys. Wallet. A photo of Max and me from 3 summers ago, now soaked through. The road stretched empty in both directions. No cars. No houses. Nothing but trees and darkness pressing in. I pulled out my phone. Dead. Of course it was dead. A sob escaped before I could stop it. Then another. My knees buckled and I sank onto the curb, hugging myself against the cold. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. The wind picked up, carrying away my whispered question, "What did I do to deserve this?" That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. The tap of something on concrete. "Ah, you all right, Day?" I jerked my head up. An old woman stood 5 feet away, leaning on a dark wooden cane. Her clothes looked expensive, a long coat, silk scarf tucked perfectly at her throat. But her eyes didn't quite focus on me. She was blind. My heart was still racing. I wiped my face with shaking hands, trying to pull myself together. I'm fine, I lied, voice cracking. Just waiting for the bus. The woman tilted her head slightly, like she could hear through my words. "There's no bus coming tonight, Dee." This stop hasn't been used in months. She paused. And you're crying? I had no fight left. My husband left me here. The words tasted like ash. She didn't gasp or offer empty sympathy. Just nodded slowly, like she'd heard worse. How terrible. Her voice was steady, calm. What's your name? Jessica. Well, Jessica, I'm Evelyn Weston. She shifted her weight on the cane. I was taking my evening walk when I heard someone in distress. Are you hurt? No, just. I couldn't finish. Stranded. Alone. Humiliated. Evelyn moved closer, her cane tapping against the concrete with precision. Each step deliberate. When she stopped, she was close enough that I could smell her perfume, something floral and expensive. I have a proposition, she said. My driver will arrive in a few minutes to collect me. You're soaking wet and clearly have nowhere to go. Why don't you come back to my home? Get warm, dry off, use my phone to call someone. Every instinct screamed danger. Strange woman. Middle of nowhere. Too convenient. But the cold was seeping into my bones. My phone was dead. Eric wasn't coming back. I don't want to impose. You're not imposing. Evelyn's expression softened. I know what it's like to be abandoned by someone you trusted. Nobody should face that alone. Something in her voice felt genuine. Real. Why are you helping me? She smiled sadly. Because someone should have helped me once, and they didn't. Headlights appeared down the road. A sleek black car approached, moving carefully on the wet pavement. It pulled up beside us, a luxury sedan, newer than anything I'd ever been close to. The driver stepped out, holding an umbrella. He was older, professional-looking, with kind eyes. Mrs. Weston, I apologize for the delay. Traffic on the bridge. He noticed me, surprise crossing his face. Is everything all right? Robert, this is Jessica. She'll be riding back with us. Robert didn't question it, just opened the rear door, extending the umbrella toward me. I looked at Evelyn, at the car, at the empty road behind me. What choice did I have? Thank you, I whispered, climbing into the warm interior. Evelyn followed, settling beside me with practiced ease. Robert closed the door, cycled back to the driver's seat, and we pulled away from that cursed bus stop. The leather seats felt like heaven. Heat vented from somewhere near my feet. I pressed my hands against the warmth, trying to stop shaking. There's a blanket beside you, Evelyn said, not looking directly at me but somehow sensing my discomfort. I found it, soft wool, and wrapped it around my shoulders. We drove in silence for a while. I watched streetlights pass, the city slowly coming back into view. Evelyn sat perfectly still, hands folded over her cane, like she was waiting for something. Finally, she spoke. I won't pry into your personal life, Jessica, but I do want you to know, whatever happened tonight, it doesn't define you. Tears welled up again. I bit my lip hard. It feels like it does. I understand that feeling. Evelyn's fingers tightened slightly on her cane. When my son was young, his father left us at a train station. Said he needed to buy tickets. Never came back. My breath caught. I'm so sorry. She nodded. It was a long time ago, but the memory. She trailed off. Well, some wounds don't fully heal, do they? I wanted to ask about her son, where he was now, but something stopped me. The rawness in her voice suggested old pain, carefully guarded. Robert took a turn onto a tree-lined street. The houses here were massive, gates, long driveways, manicured lawns even in the rain. We pulled up to an iron gate. It opened automatically, and we glided up a curved driveway to a house that looked more like a mansion. 3 stories, stone facade, lights glowing warmly behind tall windows. This is your home. I couldn't hide my shock. Has been for 40 years, Evelyn said simply. The car stopped. Robert came around, helped Evelyn out first, then extended his hand to me. I stepped onto the driveway, still wrapped in the blanket, staring up at the house. This woman, this complete stranger, was opening her home to me. Come, Evelyn said, already moving toward the front entrance with surprising confidence despite her blindness. Let's get you warmed up properly. I followed, each step feeling surreal. The massive front door opened before we reached it. A woman in her 50s appeared, neatly dressed, efficient-looking. Mrs. Weston, welcome back. I've prepared tea in the sitting room. Her eyes slid to me, questioning but polite. Margaret, this is Jessica. She'll be staying with us tonight. Please prepare the blue guest room and find her some dry clothes. Of course. I stepped inside, and my wet shoes squeaked against marble floors. The entrance was breathtaking. Chandelier overhead, sweeping staircase, artwork on the walls that probably cost more than my entire childhood home. But beneath the luxury, something felt off. Too quiet, too empty for such a big house. This way, Evelyn said, navigating the space like she could see every detail. We entered a sitting room, fireplace crackling, furniture that looked antique and expensive. Margaret disappeared upstairs. Evelyn settled into a high-backed chair near the fire. Sit, please. You must be exhausted. I perched on the edge of the sofa, still clutching the blanket. Mrs. Weston. Evelyn, please. Evelyn, I don't understand why you're doing this. You don't even know me. She was quiet for a long moment, firelight dancing across her face. I'm looking for someone, Jessica. Someone I lost a very long time ago. Her voice grew softer, and when I heard you tonight, alone and afraid, I suppose I hoped that if someone found him the way I found you, they'd show him the same kindness. My throat tightened. Your son? She nodded. I'm sure he'd want to come home. He doesn't know who I am anymore. Evelyn's hands trembled slightly on her cane. We were separated when he was very young. Foster care. I tried to find him for years, but the trail went cold. Now I'm old, running out of time, and I've spent my fortune trying to locate him. The weight of her words settled over the room. I'm so sorry. Don't be. Evelyn straightened, composing herself. Everyone carries their ghosts, Jessica. The question is whether we'll let them haunt us or whether we keep walking forward. Margaret returned with a tray, tea, biscuits, and a stack of folded clothes. The guest room is ready whenever you'd like to rest. I accepted the tea with trembling hands, the warmth spreading through my chest. This place, this woman, none of it made sense. But as I sat there by the fire, wearing borrowed comfort, something shifted inside me. Maybe Eric had thrown me away. Maybe I'd lost everything tonight. But I hadn't disappeared. What happens when Jessica discovers the real reason Evelyn took her in? The hot shower felt like forgiveness I didn't deserve. I stood under the water until my skin turned pink, washing away the rain, the cold, the memory of Eric's taillights disappearing. The blue guest room had its own bathroom, marble tiles, fluffy towels that smelled like lavender, soap that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. Margaret had left clothes on the bed. Real clothes, not hand-me-downs. A soft sweater, dark jeans that actually fit, thick socks. I pulled them on, feeling like an imposter. The mirror showed a stranger. Red eyes, hollow cheeks, but clean, warm, alive. A soft knock on the door. Miss Jessica, dinner is ready. I followed Margaret downstairs, my hand trailing along the polished banister. Family portraits lined the walls, old photographs in expensive frames. A younger Evelyn with a small boy on her lap. The child had dark curly hair and a gap-toothed smile. Her son. The dining room took my breath away. Long table, probably seats 12. Crystal chandelier. China plates set at 2 spots near the head of the table. Evelyn was already seated, hands resting on the table's edge. She'd changed into a different outfit, still elegant, still perfectly put together. Please, sit. She gestured to the chair beside her. I sank into the cushioned seat, feeling ridiculous. This morning I'd been eating cereal standing up in my tiny kitchen. Now I was sitting in a mansion with a blind heiress. Margaret brought out the food: roasted chicken, vegetables that looked like art, bread that smelled like heaven. My stomach growled embarrassingly loud. Eat, dear. You must be starving. I picked up the fork, hand still shaking slightly. The first bite almost made me cry. Real food. Warm. Seasoned. Not the ramen packets I'd been surviving on. This is incredible, I whispered. Evelyn smiled. Margaret's been with me for 30 years. She's family. Family. The word stung. We ate in comfortable silence for a while. I watched Evelyn navigate her plate with practiced precision, never fumbling, always knowing exactly where everything was. So, she said eventually, setting down her fork. Tell me about yourself, Jessica. What do you do? The question felt too normal for the circumstances. I work 3 jobs: cashier, receptionist, dog walker. I hesitated. Was working them, anyway. I might have missed today's shifts. And your husband? My throat tightened. He owns some businesses. I thought we were happy. Guess I was wrong. Evelyn tilted her head. Marriage is complicated. People carry wounds they never talk about. That's generous. He just dumped me on the side of the road like garbage. Yes, he did. Her voice was firm, and that was cruel. But cruelty often comes from pain, not strength. I wanted to argue, but something in her tone made me pause. You said earlier that you were abandoned too. I was. Evelyn's fingers found her water glass. My husband left me at a train station when our son was just 2 years old. Said he was going to buy tickets. I waited 6 hours before I accepted he wasn't coming back. My chest ached. How did you survive? Stubbornness, mostly. A sad smile crossed her face, and the determination that my son would never grow up thinking he wasn't wanted. Where is he now? The smile faded. I don't know. We were separated when he was 7. I lost my sight in an accident, couldn't work, fell behind on rent. Social services took him. By the time I got back on my feet, years later, the trail had gone cold. That's horrible. It's life. Evelyn's voice grew quieter. I spent decades searching, hired investigators, checked records, followed every lead. Nothing. It's like he vanished. The weight of her loss filled the room. I'm so sorry. Don't be. She straightened. I haven't given up. I never will. Margaret cleared our plates, brought out dessert, some kind of chocolate cake that looked too beautiful to eat. I took a bite. Heaven. Can I ask you something? I kept my voice careful. Why did you really help me tonight? Evelyn was quiet for a long moment. The chandelier hummed softly above us. When I heard you crying at that bus stop, she said slowly, I heard myself 30 years ago. That same fear, that same feeling of the world crumbling. And I thought, what if someone had helped me then? What if I hadn't been alone? Tears pricked my eyes. So I decided to be that someone for you. I set down my fork, voice breaking. I lied to you earlier. When your driver arrived, I was going to pretend to be your granddaughter so you'd let me in the car. Margaret called me Emily. I know. My head snapped up. What? Evelyn's expression was calm. I've been blind for over 30 years, Jessica. I've learned to hear what people don't say. Your breathing changed when Margaret used that name. You were nervous, guilty. Heat rushed to my face. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Stop. She held up a hand. You were desperate and alone. I don't blame you for trying to survive. But I want you to know, I would have helped you anyway. Lie or no lie. The kindness broke something inside me. I covered my face with my hands, shoulders shaking. I don't deserve this. Maybe not. Evelyn's voice was gentle. But you need it. And sometimes that's enough. I couldn't sleep. The blue guest room was perfect. Soft bed, quiet darkness, everything I should need. But my mind wouldn't shut off. Eric's face, his cold eyes, the screech of tires. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. Margaret had found a charger. 12 missed calls from maximum 6 voicemails. 3 texts asking where I was, if I was okay. Why, Eric called him asking if I'd shown up. So Eric was looking for me. Interesting. I didn't respond. Didn't know what to say. Instead, I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the old house settle around me. Footsteps somewhere below. A door closing. The distant hum of something mechanical. Around midnight, another soft knock. Come in, I called, sitting up. Evelyn entered, moving with that same confident precision. She wore a silk robe, hair down around her shoulders. Without the perfect styling, she looked older. Tired. I saw your light on, she said, then caught herself. Well, not so exactly. Robert mentioned it when he checked the security system. Couldn't sleep. Neither could I. She settled into the armchair by the window. Would you mind some company? Please. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. The moonlight streamed through the window, painting silver streaks across the floor. I want to make you an offer, Evelyn said eventually. My stomach flipped. Okay. Stay here. Not just tonight. Indefinitely. You need a safe place. Time to figure out your next steps. I have more rooms than I know what to do with. I can't just. Let me finish. Her voice was firm. I'm not offering charity. I need help, and you might be the person to provide it. Help with what? Evelyn's hands tightened on the chair's armrest. Finding my son. I've hired investigators, checked databases, followed leads for years. Nothing works. But you're young, resourceful. You understand struggle. Maybe fresh eyes, a different approach. She trailed off, and I heard the hope buried under her careful words. I don't know anything about finding missing people. Neither did I when I started. She leaned forward. But I can teach you everything I've learned. Give you access to files, contacts, resources. And in return, you have a place to stay, food to eat, time to heal. My heart raced. This was crazy. I didn't know this woman. Didn't know her son. Had my own mess to deal with. But what choice did I have? Go back to Eric? Sleep in my car? Show up at Max's tiny apartment and become another burden? What if I can't find him? The question came out small. Then at least we tried together. Evelyn's face softened. I don't expect miracles, Jessica. Just effort. Just hope. I thought about the portraits in the hallway. That little boy with the gap-toothed smile. Wondered what happened to him, where he ended up, if he ever thought about the mother who lost him. Okay, I whispered. I'll help you. Evelyn's whole body relaxed. Thank you. But I need to be honest about something else. I gripped the blanket. My brother Max, he's had some trouble. Got arrested for trying to steal a bike. My mom's been in and out of rehab. I'm not exactly from your world. Good. Evelyn stood, moving toward the door. My world is lonely and cold. Maybe someone from outside it is exactly what I need. She paused at the threshold. Get some rest, Jessica. Tomorrow we start fresh. Both of us. After she left, I lay back down, mind spinning. What had I just agreed to? But beneath the fear, something else stirred. Purpose, maybe. Or just the relief of not being alone. I pulled out my phone one more time, scrolled through Eric's texts. Where are you? Jessica, answer me. This is ridiculous. I deleted them all and turned off the phone. Whatever happened next, I was done being that woman on the side of the road. Morning came with sunlight and the smell of coffee. I found Evelyn in a sitting room I hadn't seen before. Smaller, cozy, with walls lined with books. She sat at a desk covered in folders and old photographs. Coffee? Margaret appeared with a tray. Yes, please. I accepted the mug gratefully. What's all this? My son's file. Evelyn gestured to the papers. Everything I've collected over 30 years. Birth records, foster care documents, last known addresses. It's not much, but it's all I have. I settled beside her, studying the photographs. A 7-year-old boy with dark curly hair staring at the camera with serious eyes. School records showing a quiet, withdrawn child. A final foster placement in Cleveland. Cleveland. My hometown. Did you say Cleveland? My voice came out strange. Yes, that was his last known location before the trail went cold. Why? I grew up there, on the south side. Evelyn's hand stilled. Really? What year? My whole life until I moved here 2 years ago. Something passed across her face, too quick to read. What was your husband's name again? Eric. Eric Monroe. The room went silent. Even the clock seemed to stop ticking. Monroe, Evelyn repeated slowly. Not a common name. His parents died when he was young. He grew up in foster care. He doesn't talk about it much. Evelyn's hands trembled against the desk. Jessica, look at this photograph. The one from his 8th birthday. I picked it up. The boy wore a striped shirt, holding a sad-looking cupcake. In the corner, barely visible, was a name card, Eric W. My blood turned to ice. What was his middle name? Evelyn's voice shook. I don't know. He never said. Wesley. The word came out like a prayer. His father's name. I named him Eric Wesley. The folder slipped from my hands. Papers scattered across the floor. No, that's not possible. How old is your husband? 36. My son would be 36 this year. The room spun. I gripped the desk, trying to breathe. Eric grew up in Cleveland. He told me his mother abandoned him, that she chose drugs over him, left him at a train station. My voice died. Train station. Just like Evelyn's story, but from the other side. Oh my God. Evelyn stood, hands shaking. Does he have a birthmark? Small, shaped like a crescent moon, on his left shoulder blade. I nodded, unable to speak. That's him. Tears streamed down her face. That's my son. The room tilted. Everything I thought I knew shattered. Eric was Evelyn's missing son. The man who abandoned me on that road was the same boy this woman had spent 30 years searching for. And he had no idea. Somewhere across town, my phone, still turned off, was missing the moment Eric's world began to crack too. Because Margaret's daughter worked at a local news station. And last night, when she'd driven past the estate, she'd seen something interesting. The reclusive blind heiress Evelyn Weston, rarely photographed, helping a young woman into her car. She'd snapped a photo, posted it online with a caption, "Mystery woman spotted with Cleveland's elusive millionaire." Who is she? By morning, it was everywhere. Local news picked it up. Social media ran wild with speculation. And Eric, scrolling through his phone over breakfast, coffee going cold in his hand, stared at the grainy image of his wife, the woman he'd thrown away, standing beside a face he didn't recognize but somehow knew in his bones. His phone buzzed. A friend's text. Bro, is that Jessica? Who's the old lady? Another. Dude, that's Evelyn Weston. She's worth like 50 million. And another. You left her for this? You're an idiot. Eric's hands started shaking. What had he done? But he doesn't know the real truth yet. And neither does she. 3 days at Evelyn's mansion, and I still woke up expecting to be back in my cramped apartment with Eric snoring beside me. Instead, I opened my eyes to silk curtains filtering morning sunlight, a room bigger than my entire childhood living room, and the smell of fresh coffee drifting up from downstairs. The discovery still sat heavy in my chest. Eric was Evelyn's son. The man who'd thrown me away, who'd made me feel worthless, was the same boy she'd spent 30 years searching for. I hadn't told her the full truth yet. How could I? How do you tell a mother that her long-lost son turned into the kind of man who abandons his wife on a rainy road? Evelyn and I had agreed to wait, to process, to figure out the right approach. But the weight of it followed me everywhere. I found her in the kitchen that morning, a surprise, since Margaret usually handled breakfast. Evelyn stood at the counter, hands moving confidently across the surface, gathering ingredients. "You're up early," she said without turning around. "How do you always know it's me?" Your footsteps. Light, hesitant. Margaret walks with purpose. Robert practically marches. She smiled. "Plus, you smell like the lavender soap from your bathroom." I moved beside her. "What are you making?" "Pancakes. Or attempting to. Margaret's at the market, and I got restless." She held up a whisk. "Want to help?" "I'm not much of a cook." "Neither am I anymore. But I used to make these for—" She stopped, cleared her throat. "For someone important. Thought it might be nice to try again." "For Eric." She meant for Eric when he was little. My throat tightened. "I'd love to help." We worked together, Evelyn directing while I measured and mixed. She knew the recipe by heart, calling out instructions from memory. Flour got everywhere. I cracked an egg badly, pieces of shell floating in the bowl. "Fish them out with a bigger piece of shell," Evelyn instructed. "Works like a magnet." She was right. The shell pieces came right out. How do you know that? Years of practice. When you can't see, you learn every trick in the book. She felt for the mixing bowl, fingers grazing the edge. Plus, I broke about 1,000 eggs before I got good at it. We poured the batter onto the heated griddle. The sizzle filled the kitchen, warm and homey. "Can I ask you something?" I flipped a pancake, watching it brown. "Why did you never remarry? After everything?" Evelyn was quiet for a moment. I was too focused on finding my son. Every relationship felt like a distraction. Every man who showed interest felt like a betrayal of that search. She touched the counter, grounding herself. Looking back, maybe I should have let myself be happy. But guilt is a powerful thing. You have nothing to feel guilty about. Don't I? Her voice dropped. I lost my sight because I was drunk. Wrapped my car around a telephone pole. My son was in the car with me. I froze, spatula in midair. He wasn't hurt, just scared. But social services saw a blind, broke single mother with a drinking problem and decided I was unfit. They took him that night. I begged them, sobbed, promised I'd get help. Didn't matter. Evelyn. So yes, I have plenty to feel guilty about. She straightened, wiping her hands on a towel. But guilt doesn't bring him back. Action does. Or at least, I keep telling myself that. We plated the pancakes in silence. Evelyn moved to the table, settling into her usual spot. I joined her, pushing maple syrup across the table until her fingers found it. "These are good," I said after the first bite. "Liar. They are mediocre at best." But she smiled. "Thank you for saying it anyway." We ate together, the morning sun streaming through the tall windows. For a moment, I let myself pretend this was normal, that I belonged here, that the mess with Eric didn't exist. "I've been thinking," Evelyn said, setting down her fork, "about the situation, about telling him." My stomach dropped. "And we need to be careful. If we rush in, tell him everything at once, he'll shut down. People who've been abandoned don't trust easily. They build walls." She was describing Eric perfectly without even knowing him. "So what do? We wait for the right moment. Let him come to us. And when he does," she trailed off, "we show him the truth gently. What if he doesn't believe it? Then we'll have DNA tests to prove it." Evelyn's jaw tightened. "But I'm hoping it won't come to that. I'm hoping some part of him remembers, even if it's just a feeling." The rest of the day passed in a strange, suspended peace. Margaret returned from the market and recruited me to help with organizing the pantry. I learned which spices Evelyn preferred, how she liked things arranged so her fingers could find them easily. Robert taught me how to adjust the security system, showing me the cameras positioned around the property. Mrs. Weston values her privacy, he explained, pointing to various monitors. After she became wealthy, there were concerns about people trying to take advantage. We keep things locked down tight. I studied the screens showing the front gate, driveway, perimeter. Has anyone ever tried to break in? Once, about 5 years ago, someone claiming to be her son turned out to be a con artist after her money. Robert's expression darkened. Broke her heart. She was so hopeful, and he was just playing her. That's horrible. It is. That's why we're protective. She's been hurt enough. By late afternoon, Evelyn called me to her sitting room. The files on her son were spread across the desk again. I want to show you something. She pulled a small wooden box from a drawer. Inside were letters, dozens of them, yellowed with age. I wrote to him every year on his birthday, even after I lost track of where he was, even knowing he'd never read them. I picked one up carefully. The handwriting was shaky but heartfelt. My dearest Eric, you're turning 9 today. I wonder if you like baseball now, or if you still hate broccoli like you did when you were small. I wonder if you remember my voice. Tears blurred my vision. These are beautiful. They are pathetic. Evelyn's voice cracked. A mother who can't even find her own child, writing letters to no one. They are not to no one. They are to him. And maybe someday he'll read them and understand how much you never stopped loving him. She turned her face away, but not before I saw the tears. That evening, we cooked dinner together, Margaret supervising while Evelyn and I handled most of the work. Evelyn told stories about her past, about growing up poor in Kentucky, about working 3 jobs to put herself through nursing school. I was a lot like you, she said, stirring the sauce. Scrappy, determined, convinced I could outwork any bad luck thrown my way. How did you end up wealthy? Dumb luck, mostly. After I got sober, I worked as a home health aide for an elderly woman. She had no family, took a liking to me. When she passed, she left me everything. I invested carefully, bought property, and somehow made it work. Evelyn tapped the spoon against the pot. Money doesn't fix the important things, though. It just makes the unimportant things easier. We ate on the back patio as the sun set. The garden stretched out before us, perfectly manicured, filled with roses and night-blooming jasmine. This was his favorite spot, Evelyn said quietly. He used to chase fireflies out here, kept them in jars and named them. What happened to him after foster care? Where did he go? The records say he aged out of the system at 18. Disappeared after that. I hired investigators who found a few jobs here and there, retail, warehouse work, but nothing substantial. It's like he didn't want to be found. Or maybe he thought no one was looking, I thought. We sat in comfortable silence as darkness fell. Somewhere in the trees, an owl called out. The air smelled like jasmine and fresh-cut grass. Thank you, I said suddenly. For what? For this. For giving me a place to land. For treating me like I matter. Evelyn reached across the table, her hand searching until it found mine. You do matter, Jessica. Don't let anyone make you believe otherwise. But even as she said it, I felt the secret between us growing heavier. Because soon, very soon, everything would change. And I had no idea if any of us were ready for it. The knock came on the 4th day. I was in the library, sorting through old photographs with Evelyn, when Robert appeared in the doorway. His expression was tight, professional mask firmly in place. Mrs. Weston, there's someone at the gate. He says he's Jessica's husband. Every muscle in my body locked up. Evelyn's hand stilled on the photograph she'd been touching. Eric Monroe. Yes, He's asking to speak with his wife. Says he needs to apologize. My heart hammered against my ribs. I don't want to see him. You don't have to, Evelyn said firmly. Then, to Robert, tell him Jessica will decide if and when she's ready to speak with him. Wait. The word escaped before I could stop it. Both of them turned toward me. I stood on shaky legs, hands gripping the back of the chair. Let him in. Jessica, you don't owe him anything. I know, but I need to face him, and… I looked at Evelyn, her unseeing eyes somehow seeing right through me. You need to meet him too. Understanding flickered across her face. This was it. The moment we'd been circling around for days. Are you sure? Her voice was careful. No, but let's do it anyway. Robert escorted Eric to the main sitting room, the formal one, where Evelyn entertained important guests. She insisted I sit beside her on the sofa while we waited. Her hands were folded calmly in her lap, but I noticed the slight tremor in her fingers. She was terrified. So was I. Footsteps in the hallway. Male voices. Then Robert appeared, and behind him, Eric. He looked terrible. Unshaven, clothes rumpled, dark circles under his eyes. But what struck me most was the expression on his face when he saw me. Relief, fear, anger, desperation, all fighting for dominance. Jessica. My name came out rough. Thank God. I've been looking everywhere. Mr. Monroe, Evelyn interrupted smoothly. Please, sit down. Eric's attention snapped to her for the first time. His eyes widened slightly, taking in the expensive room, the elegant woman, the obvious wealth surrounding him. You must be the woman from the photo. He moved toward the chair opposite us, movement stiff. I'm Eric, Jessica's husband. Evelyn Weston. She didn't extend her hand. Jessica has been staying with me. An awkward pause. Eric sat, hands gripping his knees. His gaze kept darting between us, trying to piece together the situation. I need to talk to my wife. Alone. I'm comfortable right here, I said, voice stronger than I felt. His jaw tightened. Jessica, please. I'm sorry. I lost my temper. I said things I didn't mean. You abandoned me on the side of the road. The words came out flat. In the rain. At night. You threw my purse into a puddle and drove away. I know, and I'm so sorry. He leaned forward, desperation bleeding into his voice. I was angry. I wasn't thinking straight. I drove around for an hour before I realized how stupid I was being. When I came back, you were gone. So you came back. Of course I came back. His voice rose. I looked everywhere. Called your phone 100 times. Checked with Max, your mom, your friends. Nobody knew where you were until I saw that photo online. Evelyn tilted her head slightly. You must have been very worried. I was terrified. Eric ran his hands through his hair. I thought something happened to her, that she was hurt or worse. Yet you were the one who put her in danger in the first place, Evelyn observed, voice mild. Eric's face flushed. With all due respect, this is between me and my wife. Is it? Evelyn's fingers tapped against her knee. Jessica came to me as a stranger in distress. I've provided her shelter, safety, and support. I believe that gives me some stake in this conversation. The tension in the room thickened. Eric looked at me, searching for something. Can we please just talk? Just the two of us. I wanted to say no. Wanted to tell him to leave and never come back. But Evelyn had said we needed to do this carefully. That Eric, her son, needed to be handled with care. Fine. I stood, but not alone. Evelyn stays. Jessica. Those are my terms. He exhaled slowly, defeat crossing his features. Okay, fine. We all settled back into position. Margaret appeared with a tea service, setting it on the table between us. Nobody touched it. Why did you really come here, Eric? I asked. Because I love you. Because I made a mistake. His eyes locked onto mine. Because you're my wife and I want you to come home. You have a funny way of showing love. I know. I know I've been terrible lately. The businesses are struggling, money's been tight, and I've been taking it out on you. That's not fair. It's not just about the money. My voice shook. You've been lying to me. The hotel keycard. The late nights. The woman in our kitchen. There's no one else, Jessica. I swear on everything. He looked genuine, almost pleading. The keycard was from a business meeting that ran late. The woman was a potential investor. I haven't cheated on you. But you've been withdrawing cash, hiding things, locking me out. He was quiet for a long moment. I was ashamed. Of what? Of failing. The admission seemed to cost him. The businesses are going under. I'm drowning in debt. I didn't want you to know how bad things had gotten. I thought I could fix it before you found out. Evelyn spoke up, her voice curious. Where did you grow up, Mr. Monroe? Eric blinked at the subject change. Cleveland. Why? I used to know some people in Cleveland. Whereabouts in the city? South Side, mostly. Foster homes, group facilities. I aged out of the system at 18. He said it matter-of-factly, like reciting facts from someone else's life. Evelyn's hands trembled. Foster care? How did you end up there? My mother abandoned me when I was 7. At least, that's what they told me. Bitterness crept into his voice. She was drunk, crashed her car with me in it. Social services decided she was unfit. The room went silent. Even the clock stopped ticking. Did they ever tell you her name? Evelyn's voice was barely a whisper. Patricia something. I don't remember. They wouldn't let me see her after that night. Eric's expression hardened. Spent 30 years wondering why she never came looking for me. Eventually, I stopped wondering. A single tear rolled down Evelyn's cheek. Eric noticed, confusion flickering across his face. Did I say something wrong? Your mother's name wasn't Patricia, Evelyn said quietly. It was Evelyn. The world tilted. Eric went very still. What? Evelyn Marie Weston. And I've spent every single day of the last 30 years looking for you. The color drained from Eric's face. He stood abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. That's not funny. It's not a joke. Evelyn stood too, moving toward him with that uncanny precision. You were born April 12, 1989. You have a birthmark shaped like a crescent moon on your left shoulder blade. Your favorite food was mac and cheese with cut-up hot dogs. You were terrified of thunderstorms but loved fireflies. Eric backed away, shaking his head. No, how do you know that? Because I'm your mother. Her voice broke. Because I never forgot. Because I've been searching for you since the night they took you away. He looked at me, wild-eyed. Did you know about this? I nodded slowly. We figured it out a few days ago. From your old records. You've been lying to me. His voice rose. Both of you. We wanted to tell you carefully, I said. We didn't know how. How about the truth? Eric's hands were shaking. How about not playing games? Evelyn moved closer. I'm not playing games, Eric. I'm telling you the truth. I'm your mother, and I never stopped looking for you. My mother was a drunk who chose alcohol over me, who put me in that car and ruined everything. Yes, I did. Evelyn's voice was steady despite the tears. I made terrible choices. I was broken and lost, and I hurt you in ways I can never take back. But I've been sober for 29 years. I've spent every dollar I have trying to find you. I've written you letters every birthday even though I knew you'd never read them. Eric stood frozen, warring emotions crossing his face. I don't believe you. Then we'll do a DNA test. Evelyn pulled a tissue from her pocket, composing herself. We'll prove it scientifically. But you already know it's true. I can hear it in your breathing. He turned to me again, lost. Jessica, what is this? It's the truth, I whispered. The woman who saved me from that bus stop. She's your mother. The mother you thought abandoned you. And you're the son she's been searching for. Eric sank back into the chair, head in his hands. None of us moved. The tea grew cold. Outside, birds sang in the garden where a little boy once chased fireflies, and everything was about to change. Eric sat with his head in his hands for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. The silence pressed down on all of us, thick and suffocating. I watched him struggle, watched the man I married try to process information that shattered everything he thought he knew about himself. Finally, he lifted his head. His eyes were red-rimmed, face pale. What was my middle name? His voice came out hoarse. In the records. What did it say? Evelyn's hands trembled as she reached for the folder on the side table. Margaret had brought it in earlier. Her fingers traced the edge of the document, feeling for the right page. Wesley, she whispered. Eric Wesley, after your grandfather. Eric's breathing quickened. How did you know to look for me? How did you even know I existed if you've been blind all this time? I wasn't always blind. I had 7 years with you before the accident. 7 years of memories burned into my brain. Evelyn's voice grew stronger. You had a stuffed elephant named Trunk. You insisted on wearing mismatched socks because you said it made you special. You sang made-up songs about dinosaurs. Eric's face crumpled. I don't remember any of that. You were so young. Trauma has a way of erasing the good parts and keeping the bad. She moved toward him carefully, cane tapping. But I remember everything. The way you laughed. The way you held my hand when we crossed the street. The way you called me Mama instead of Mom because you said it sounded warmer. Stop! Eric stood abruptly. Just stop. This is too much. I know it is. No, you don't know. His voice cracked. You don't know what it was like bouncing between homes where nobody wanted you, where you were just another mouth to feed, another problem to deal with. You don't know what it's like to grow up believing your mother threw you away like trash. I never threw you away. Tears streamed down Evelyn's face. They took you from me. I fought them. I begged them. I got sober, got a job, got my life together, and went back to find you. But you were already gone. Moved to a different home. No forwarding information. The system protected your privacy and destroyed any chance I had of finding you. Eric paced to the window, staring out at the garden. His shoulders shook. I wanted to go to him but didn't know if I had the right anymore. Everything between us felt fragile, like one wrong move would shatter what little remained. Why now? Eric turned back to face us. Why, after 30 years, do I suddenly find out about this? Fate, Evelyn said softly, or luck, or divine intervention. I don't know what to call it, but your wife showed up at a bus stop where I happened to be walking. She needed help. I helped her, and somehow, impossibly, she led me to you. Eric's gaze shifted to me. Did you plan this? What? No. I stood, anger flaring. I had no idea who Evelyn was. I was abandoned and alone, and she showed me kindness. That's it. Convenient, though, isn't it? You stay in a mansion, cozy up to a rich woman, and suddenly I'm supposed to believe this whole long-lost son story. The accusation stung like a slap. How dare you? My voice shook. After everything you've put me through, the lies, the manipulation, leaving me stranded, how dare you accuse me of scheming? Because none of this makes sense. Eric's hands clenched into fists. I'm supposed to believe that out of millions of people in this city, my wife randomly meets my biological mother? That's not fate. That's a con. It's the truth, Evelyn said firmly, and I can prove it. We'll do a DNA test right now. Today. Robert can drive us to a facility. Within days, you'll have scientific proof. Fine. Eric's jaw was set. Fine, we'll do your test. And when it comes back negative, when this whole thing is exposed as a lie, I want my wife back and I want you to leave us alone. Evelyn swayed slightly, hand gripping her cane tighter. And when it comes back positive, when you have undeniable proof that I'm telling the truth, then I'll deal with it. But his voice wavered. I saw it then, the fear beneath the anger. Eric wasn't rejecting the possibility that Evelyn was his mother. He was terrified it was true. Terrified of the emotions that truth would demand from him. There's something else, Evelyn said quietly. Something I need to show you. She moved to the desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out the wooden box of letters. Her hand shook as she held it out. What is that? Eric didn't move to take it. Every year on your birthday, I wrote you a letter. Even after I lost track of you, even knowing you'd probably never read them. I wrote them anyway because it was the only way I could still be your mother. Eric stayed at the box like it might explode. I don't want to read them. You don't have to. Not now. Not ever, if you choose. Evelyn set the box on the coffee table between them. But they are yours. They've always been yours. 30 years of a mother's love with nowhere to go. Something in Eric's expression shifted. The anger drained away, leaving only raw pain. I had a middle name once, he said, voice barely audible. Wesley. I changed it when I turned 18. Dropped it completely because I didn't want anything connecting me to my past. Evelyn's hand flew to her mouth, a sob escaping. What did you change it to? I asked, though I suddenly knew the answer. Monroe. It was my last foster father's surname. He was the only one who was ever decent to me. When I aged out, I took his name as my middle name. Eric Monroe. It felt like claiming a family I chose instead of one that rejected me. Oh, Eric. Evelyn took a step toward him, then another. I never rejected you. I never stopped being your mother, even when I couldn't find you. My name is on your original birth certificate, Evelyn Marie Weston, the mother who loved you then and loves you now. Eric's face contorted. Don't say that. Why not? Because if you love me, if you really loved me all this time, then I wasted 30 years hating you for something you didn't do. His voice broke. I built my entire life around the belief that I was unwanted, that I wasn't worth fighting for. And if you're telling the truth, if you really spent all that time looking for me, then everything I believed about myself is a lie. The weight of his words hung in the air. Evelyn reached him, her hand finding his arm with surprising accuracy. You were always worth fighting for. You were always wanted, always loved. The system failed us both, but I never stopped being your mother. Eric looked down at her hand on his arm, at this blind, elegant woman who'd spent decades searching for him, at the box of letters sitting on the table like 30 years of proof. His breathing grew ragged, his face twisted with emotion. Then his knees buckled. Eric! I rushed forward, catching him as he collapsed. His weight dragged us both down to the floor. Evelyn dropped beside us, hand searching. What's happening? Is he hurt? I think it's just shock, I started, but then Eric's body went rigid. His eyes rolled back. A strange sound escaped his throat. Robert! I screamed. Call an ambulance. But it wasn't Eric who needed help. Evelyn had gone completely still beside us. Her face was ashen, lips slightly blue. Her cane clattered to the floor. Evelyn. I grabbed her shoulder, shaking gently. Evelyn, can you hear me? No response. Her breathing was shallow, irregular. Robert, forget Eric. It's Evelyn. Something's wrong with Evelyn. Robert appeared instantly, phone already to his ear, rattling off the address to emergency services. Margaret rushed in with a blanket, checking Evelyn's pulse. It's her heart, Margaret said, voice tight with fear. She has a condition. Too much stress. Eric stayed, blinking up at the chaos. What's happening? Your mother is having some kind of episode. The words came out sharper than I intended. The stress of this conversation, it was too much. The color drained from his face all over again. No, this can't. Save it. I turned my attention to Evelyn, holding her hand, feeling her faint pulse. Evelyn, stay with us. The ambulance is coming. Just hold on. Her eyelids fluttered. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Don't try to talk. Just breathe. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Eric sat frozen on the floor, staring at the woman who claimed to be his mother, the woman who might die before he had a chance to believe her. I didn't mean, he whispered. I didn't want. I know. My voice softened despite everything. But intent doesn't matter right now. She needs help. The paramedics burst through the door moments later, professional and efficient. They loaded Evelyn onto a stretcher, asking rapid-fire questions about her medical history that Margaret answered while I held Evelyn's hand. I'm coming with her, I told them. Family only, one paramedic said. I'm her son. Eric's voice cut through the chaos. I'm family. And so is she, my wife. We're both coming. The paramedic nodded, and we climbed into the ambulance. As the doors closed and we sped toward the hospital, I watched Eric stare at Evelyn's unconscious face. He reached out slowly, hesitantly, and touched her hand. Just a touch, but it was something. The hospital waiting room smelled like disinfectant and bad coffee. Eric and I sat 3 chairs apart, not speaking. Margaret had arrived an hour ago, bringing food nobody ate. Robert paced by the windows, phone pressed to his ear, probably alerting Evelyn's lawyers and financial people. We'd been here for 6 hours. 6 hours of fluorescent lights and hushed conversations and doctors who said things like critical but stable and monitoring closely. 6 hours of me watching Eric wrestle with emotions he didn't know how to handle. He'd barely moved since we sat down. Just stayed at his hands, turning them over like they held answers. You should eat something, I finally said. Not hungry. Eric. Don't. He looked at me, eyes bloodshot. Please, Jessica. I can't do this right now. Do what? Have a conversation. Pretend everything's normal. Pretend we're okay. He ran his hands through his hair. Nothing about this is okay. No, it's not. Silence stretched between us again. Somewhere down the hall, a baby cried. A television played low in another room. If she dies. Eric's voice cracked. If she dies before I even get to know her. She's not going to die. You don't know that. He stood abruptly, pacing. They said her heart is weak, that this kind of stress could have killed her. And it's my fault. I did this. You didn't know. Doesn't matter. I should have. He stopped, fists clenching. I should have been kinder. Should have listened instead of accusing everyone of lying. But I was so angry, so convinced this was another con, another person trying to use me. Because that's what your life taught you, I said quietly. To protect yourself. To not trust. And look where it got me. He laughed bitterly. My mother spends 30 years searching for me, and when she finally finds me, I'm such a disaster of a human being that just talking to me nearly kills her. Eric, stop. It's true though, isn't it? I'm exactly what she should have expected. A foster kid who never learned how to be loved, who pushes everyone away, who abandons his own wife on the side of the road because he can't handle conflict like a normal person. The self-hatred in his voice hurt to hear. I stood, moving closer. You're right. You did terrible things. You hurt me in ways I'm not sure I can forgive. But you're not irredeemable. You're Hay, aren't you? You came with her to the hospital. You called yourself her son. Because I owe her that much. No, because some part of you believes it's true. I touched his arm gently. Some part of you wants it to be true. His eyes met mine, vulnerable in a way I'd rarely seen. What if I don't know how to be someone's son? What if I'm too broken? Then you learn. One day at a time. Mr. Monroe. A doctor appeared in scrubs, looking tired. You can see her now. She's awake. Eric froze. Is she? Will she be okay? Her condition is stabilized. She'll need rest and careful monitoring, but she's going to pull through. The doctor smiled slightly. She's been asking for you. We followed him down a maze of hallways to a private room. Evelyn lay in the bed, looking small and fragile against the white sheets. Oxygen tubes ran to her nose. Monitors beeped steadily beside her, but her eyes were open. A light. Eric. Her voice was weak but clear. Is that you? He stopped in the doorway, paralyzed. I gave him a gentle push forward. I'm here, he said roughly. Come closer. Let me hear you properly. He approached the bed slowly, like she might disappear if he moved too fast. I hung back, giving them space. Evelyn's hand searched across the blanket. Eric stared at it for a long moment before taking it in his own. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. Hush. You're not responsible for my failing heart. She squeezed his hand weakly. That's just bad genetics and too much stress over the years. But I made it worse. I said horrible things. You said honest things. Painful things. But honest. She turned her face toward his voice. I spent 30 years imagining our reunion. In none of those scenarios did I expect you to welcome me with open arms. You have every right to be angry. I don't want to be angry anymore. His voice broke. I'm tired of being angry. Then don't be. She smiled sadly. We have a chance now. A real chance to know each other, if you want it. I don't know how to be your son. And I don't know how to be your mother anymore. We'll figure it out together. Eric's shoulders shook. I wasted so much time hating you. You didn't waste anything. You survived. That's what matters. Evelyn's other hand reached up, trembling, touching his face. Her fingers traced his features gently, forehead, nose, jaw. My boy, you grew up so strong. That broke him. Eric collapsed against the bed rail, sobbing like a child. 30 years of pain poured out in ragged gasps. Evelyn held his hand through it all, murmuring soft words I couldn't quite hear. I turned away, giving them privacy, wiping my own tears. Eventually, Eric calmed. He pulled back, embarrassed, wiping his face on his sleeve. Sorry, I don't usually. You have nothing to apologize for. Evelyn settled back against the pillows, exhausted. Jessica, are you still here? I'm here. Come, both of you. I need to say something. I moved to the opposite side of the bed. Eric stayed where he was, still holding her hand. You two have a lot to work through, Evelyn began. Things I can't fix or influence. But I want you to know something. Life is too short to hold on to anger. Too short to let pride destroy the people we love. Evelyn, I started, but she continued. Eric, you hurt your wife badly. You betrayed her trust in ways that may not be fixable. But I also see a man struggling with demons he didn't create. A man who learned to survive but not to love properly. Eric flinched. And Jessica, you have every right to walk away. To start fresh without him. But before you do, ask yourself if the man who abandoned you on that road is the same man standing here now. People can change, if they want to badly enough. I want to, Eric said hoarsely, looking at me. Jessica, I want to change. I want to be better. I want to be the man you thought you married. Wanting isn't enough. I know, but it's a start. He moved around the bed, standing before me. I'm not asking you to forgive me right now. I'm not even asking you to come home. I'm just asking for a chance to prove I can be different. I looked at this man, my husband, Evelyn's son, a broken person trying to piece himself together. I need time, I said finally. Time to think. Time to heal. Time to figure out if I can ever trust you again. I'll wait, however long it takes. And you need to get help. Real help. Therapy. Whatever it takes to deal with your past. I will. I promise. Evelyn listened to our exchange, a small smile on her tired face. That's all any of us can ask for. Honesty. Effort. Time. A nurse appeared, checking monitors. Mrs. Weston needs rest now. You can visit again in the morning. We said our goodbyes. Eric lingered, squeezing Evelyn's hand one more time. I'll come back tomorrow, he promised. If that's okay. I'd like that very much. Outside in the hallway, Eric and I stood awkwardly. Do you need a ride? He asked. Back to the mansion. Robert's waiting. But thank you. He nodded, hands in pockets. Jessica, I know I don't deserve it, but thank you. For staying. For helping me find her. For not giving up on everything. I didn't do it for you. I know. But still. Thank you. He turned to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, seeing you in that mansion, seeing you strong and taken care of, it made me realize how badly I'd failed you. You deserve better than what I gave you. Yes, I do. I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to become the person you deserve, even if you decide not to take me back. He walked away then, disappearing into the elevator. I stood alone in the empty hallway, exhausted and confused and hurting. But beneath it all, something unexpected stared. Hope. Maybe. Could this broken family finally find a way to heal? 6 months changed everything. Not overnight. Not in some magical transformation where everyone suddenly became perfect. Real change is messy, painful, and slow. But it's also possible. I'm living proof. Eric moved out of our apartment that first week. Not because I demanded it, but because he knew we needed space. He found a small studio across town, started seeing a therapist twice a week, and began the hard work of unpacking 30 years of abandonment issues. I stayed at Evelyn's mansion. She recovered slowly, her heart weak but stubborn, just like her. We spent long afternoons in the garden, talking about everything and nothing. She taught me about her life, her mistakes, her regrets. I told her about growing up with Mom's addiction, about raising Max, about the dreams I'd buried under survival. You're stronger than you know, she told me one afternoon, her fingers tracing the petals of a rose. Life tried to break you, but here you stand. I don't feel strong. I feel lost. Lost people can still find their way home. She smiled. Sometimes they just need to redefine what home means. Eric visited 3 times a week. At first, the conversations were awkward, stilted. He and Evelyn would sit in the library, her asking careful questions, him answering in short, guarded sentences. But slowly, walls came down. He told her about his childhood, about the foster homes that hurt him, about the few people who showed him kindness. She listened without judgment, without trying to fix everything. Just listened. I wish I could have protected you, she said one evening, tears in her blind eyes. I wish I could have been there. You're here now, Eric replied quietly. Maybe that's enough. He and I talked too. Real conversations, not the surface-level exchanges we'd survived on for years. We met at coffee shops, walked in parks, slowly remembering what it felt like to be 2 people who once chose each other. I don't know if I can forgive you, I told him honestly during one of those walks. What you did, leaving me like that, it broke something inside me. I know, and I'm not asking you to forget it or pretend it didn't happen. He stopped, hands in his pockets. I'm just asking you to see that I'm trying to be different, that I'm facing the things I've spent my whole life running from. Why now? Why not years ago? Because I didn't have a reason before. I thought being broken was just who I was. But then I almost lost you. Almost lost the chance to know my mother. And I realized I don't want to be that person anymore. It wasn't a grand declaration. Wasn't a movie moment with swelling music. But it was honest. And honesty was something we'd never really had before. Max came to visit in month 3. He was suspicious of Eric, protective of me, but Evelyn won him over within an hour. She had that effect on people, making them feel seen, valued, important. Your sister talks about you constantly, she told him over dinner. You're very lucky to have each other. She's the one who raised me, Max said. When Mom couldn't, Jessica stepped up. She's always been there. Then she's luckier to have you too. Family isn't about who shares your blood. It's about who shows up when life gets hard. By month 4, Eric and I were attempting date nights. Tentative, careful evenings where we tried to rediscover who we were without all the baggage weighing us down. Sometimes it felt natural. Sometimes it felt like forcing puzzle pieces that no longer fit. I don't know if we can go back to what we were, I admitted one night over Italian food. Maybe we're not supposed to go back, Eric said. Maybe we're supposed to build something new. Something better. You make it sound easy. It's not easy. It's terrifying. He reached across the table, palm up. But so is giving up on someone you still love. I stared at his hand for a long moment before placing mine in it. I do still love you. That's the problem. It would be easier if I hated you. I'm sorry I made it so complicated. We both did. I wasn't perfect either. I was so busy trying to fix everyone else that I never asked for what I needed. What do you need? Honesty. Partnership. Someone who doesn't run when things get hard. I squeezed his hand. Can you be that person? I'm trying to be. It wasn't a fairy tale, but it was progress. Evelyn grew weaker as summer turned to fall. The doctors said her heart was failing, that the stress from our reunion had accelerated the decline. She took the news with grace, refusing to let anyone feel guilty. I got my miracle, she told us during a family dinner at the mansion. I found my son. I gained a daughter. I'm not going anywhere angry or sad. Don't talk like that, Eric said, voice tight. You're going to be fine. I'm 73 years old with a failing heart, darling. Fine is relative. She smiled, reaching for both our hands. But I want you to promise me something. Both of you. Anything, I said. Don't waste the time you have. Life is so much shorter than we think. Don't let pride or fear keep you from the happiness you deserve. We promised. What else could we do? The lawyer came in late October. Robert called us to the mansion for a meeting, his tone unusually formal. Eric and I arrived together. We'd moved back in with each other the month before, taking things slowly but finding our rhythm. Evelyn sat in her favorite chair, dressed elegantly despite her obvious fatigue. Margaret stood nearby, tissue in hand. The lawyer, a stern-looking woman named Patricia, spread documents across the coffee table. Mrs. Weston has asked me to review her will with you both present, Patricia began. She wants you to understand her wishes while she's still here to explain them. Evelyn, this isn't necessary, Eric started. Hush. Let me do this my way. She folded her hands primly. I've spent my life building something meaningful. The businesses, the investments, the properties, they all meant nothing if I had no one to share them with. Now I do. We don't want your money, I said quickly. I know you don't. That's why I'm giving it to you. She smiled. Eric, you told me your businesses were failing, that you were drowning in debt. I've paid off everything. You're starting fresh. Eric's face went white. You what? And I'm leaving you both controlling interest in Western Enterprises. It's a portfolio of commercial properties, investments, and small businesses. Nothing glamorous, but stable and profitable. It will provide for you both for the rest of your lives. Evelyn, my voice broke. Let me finish. She reached for her cane, gripping it tightly. I'm also leaving this house to you both. It's too big for two people, but it's full of memories. Good ones, I hope. Maybe you'll make new memories here. Maybe you'll have children who'll chase fireflies in that garden like Eric once did. Tears streamed down my face. Eric was crying too, not even bothering to hide it. You're my second chance, Evelyn continued softly. The family I thought I'd lost forever. And I want you to have everything I couldn't give you before. Patricia cleared her throat, uncomfortable with the emotion. There are details to review, paperwork to sign. Later, Evelyn waved her away. Right now, I want to be with my family. We spent the afternoon together. Evelyn told stories about her youth, about Eric's father, about dreams she'd had that never came true. Eric talked about finally feeling like he belonged somewhere. I watched them together, mother and son, reunited by impossible circumstances, and felt something shift inside my chest. This was family. Not perfect, not simple, but real. Evelyn passed away on a Tuesday morning in early November, peaceful, in her sleep, with Margaret at her bedside. Eric and I got the call at dawn. We held each other and cried in a way we never had before, not just for grief, but for gratitude. She'd given us so much. Not just money or property, but perspective, purpose, a second chance to get things right. The funeral was small, dignified. Friends she'd helped over the years, staff who'd become family, a few distant relatives who barely knew her. Eric gave the eulogy, his voice steady despite the tears. My mother spent 30 years searching for me, he said. And when she finally found me, I was too angry and broken to appreciate the gift. But she didn't give up. She showed me what real love looks like, patient, forgiving, unconditional. She taught me that it's never too late to heal, never too late to come home. After the service, Margaret pulled me aside. Mrs. Weston left something for you. She made me promise not to give it to you until after she was gone. She handed me a cream-colored envelope, my name written across it in braille and shaky pen. What is it? I don't know. She sealed it herself. Margaret squeezed my hand. But knowing her, it's something important. I tucked the envelope into my purse, not ready to open it yet. Weeks passed. Eric and I settled into the mansion, slowly making it ours. We donated most of Evelyn's clothes, kept the photographs, turned her sitting room into an office. Max moved into one of the guest rooms, finally getting out of his cramped apartment. Mom visited for Thanksgiving, 6 months sober and trying. We were becoming a family. Messy, complicated, but ours. On Christmas Eve, while Eric and Max argued about which movie to watch, I finally opened Evelyn's letter. My hands shook as I unfolded the thick paper. My dearest Jessica, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I hope I went peacefully. I hope you and Eric were able to say proper goodbyes. I want you to know something. Finding you that night at the bus stop wasn't random chance. I believe we were meant to meet. That some force in the universe knew you needed saving and that you were the key to finding my son. You gave me the greatest gift. You brought Eric back to me. And in return, I want to give you this truth. You are enough. You have always been enough. Not because of what you do for others or how you survive hardship. Simply because you exist. Eric is going to struggle. Old wounds don't heal overnight. Be patient with him, but also be patient with yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to move forward despite the pain. Build a beautiful life together. Fill this house with laughter and children and love. Chase fireflies in the garden. Make mistakes and fix them. Be the family neither of you had growing up. And remember, sometimes the worst heartbreak leads you to the family you were meant to have all along. With all my love, Evelyn. I pressed the letter to my chest, crying quietly. Eric appeared in the doorway, concern crossing his face. What's wrong? I handed him the letter. He read it slowly, lips moving slightly with the words. When he finished, he pulled me close. She was right, he whispered into my hair. About all of it. I know. We stood there in the hallway of our inherited mansion, holding each other while Christmas lights twinkled in the next room and my brother's laughter echoed through holes that had been silent for too long. Life hadn't turned out the way I expected. The woman I married became someone unrecognizable. But through that pain, through that abandonment at a lonely bus stop, I found something better. I found family. Real family. The kind that shows up, does the work, and chooses you every single day. Sometimes the worst heartbreak leads you exactly where you need to be. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more emotional journeys. Drop a comment below. What do you think Evelyn's greatest lesson was? How would you have handled Jessica's situation? Your stories matter. Share them with me. And remember, it's never too late to find your way home. See you in the next story.